Hello friends, this is Dr. Ranjan Gadai. Today I'll discuss on a brief introduction to the journey from research to publication. This is very vital for any kind of researcher, particularly the PhD scholar, those who are doing PhD. As for any researcher, this is the journey they generally do. They generally go through that, and to achieve the degree for any researcher, they start with their research and they end up with the publication. Because publication is a thing for any kind of research work. It is very mandatory. Until and unless you not do the publication, it would be very tough for any researchers to get the degree. Because nowadays a lot of university they have made their own criteria. Until and unless you not publish two three four number of good research article, then it will be very tough for that candidate to get the degree. That's why in each step the researcher has to be very much careful while going through that journey, research to publication. Here I'll discuss about the brief introduction to the research. Then I'll discuss the selection of guide, because that is very vital for any research scholar. Selection of guide is very vital, and how you maintain a cordial relationship with the guide, that is also very vital. That thing also we'll discuss in this particular lecture. Then we'll go to the next, that is what are the things you should publish and what are the things you should not publish. That also you will discuss, and where you will publish. And that will be also a part in this lecture, because a lot of people they do not have any idea regarding the publishers, so you must be aware of that. Then we'll go through that writing part, how to write the research article. Then at the end, I'll discuss about the research ethics. That is also very vital, because nowadays a lot of people they are facing this some kind of problem due to the unawareness of research ethics. So all the researchers, they must uh, know about the research ethics, the plagiarism issue and all, while doing while doing the research work, or while writing the thesis and the research article. Now, going to introduction of research is an endeavor to discover, develop, and verify the knowledge. And this statement has been given by Rumnell. Research is purposely and methodically search for new knowledge and practical solution in the form of answer to a particular question. If you are doing research, means something new you will have to do, and what are the new thing you will do, that you have to set the objective at the starting of your research. And throughout your research, your aim should be such that you will have to achieve that objective throughout your research work. Generally, the scientific research is a systematic and objective effort to offer the solution to a particular problem. If you have defined the problem, then your work throughout your research would be to find the solution of that particular problem which you have defined at the starting. Now, why people they do research? Because nowadays the world is changing day by day. So the need of the people, the need of the society is also, this is varying day by day. This population growth, the pollution, these are all challenges to the society. So we'll have to give much more focus in the research, by which we can cope up with that kind of challenges we face in our day-to-day life. Nowadays, I can give the example of this disease, new disease. Nowadays, a lot of diseases are coming. For that, we'll have to find out the vaccine and medicine for that particular disease. Just consider the example of the corona disease. Till now, the scientific community and the research community, they have not found this vaccine for that particular disease. So we have to do the research by which we'll be able to find out some solution to each and individual problem we are facing in our day-to-day life. That is very vital. So research is a things that is there is no end in research. There will be always a scope in any area of research. People they says that engineering the scope is less, in science the scope is also less, getting decreased. But if you see the research in a particular topic, then the scope of research in that particular topic will be always there. So because day by day in each area people are facing problem. So until and unless you not do a proper research to find out the solution to that particular problem, uh, 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 particular problem, the people will not be, the society will not be happy. That's why everyone has to do the research in their own area of the interest. For example, I am giving that this fossil fuel, it is decreasing day by day. Now, research community, they are giving much more focus to the non to the renewable energy, and still a lot of things are not done yet because the efficiency of the renewable energy is less. The renewable energy which we are using, like solar energy, the wind energy, the efficiency of that kind of energy is less. Still a lot of improvement is going on. So always there will be a scope of doing research, and to fulfill our requirement, the fulfill of the, yeah, to fulfill the need of the society, we'll have to do the research by which we can solve the problem which we are facing in the day-to-day life. Now, for the research scholar, yeah, for any researchers, just you can consider about the PhD student, because in in the in the society, in our country, in the world also, PhD student generally, they consider to be a, you know, research scholar basically. Some other degrees are there like MSc, this MTech, but they are not the true research scholar. Yeah, research scholar. Research scholar generally we call to the PhD student. Yes, after PhD, also postdoc, yeah, any professionals like any scientists, any professors, they do the research. But the preliminary stage is the PhD scholar. Until and unless you not get the PhD degree, you not get the license to get the research. That generally people tell. That's why uh, for any kind of PhD scholar, yeah, any kind of researcher, uh, what are the things they should consider before starting the research? That I'll point out here. I'll point out here. These are the four things every researcher should think before starting of the research. First is this point: do I want to spend the next 3 to 4 years in my life on the research? Because see, research is not a course outcome degree, and there will be no tenure of any research degree like PhD degree. Just like your bachelor degree or BSc degree, one tenure is fixed. Like within 3 year or 4 year, you will get the degree. But in research degree like PhD, you cannot confirm that within 3 years or 4 years I'll get the degree, because uh, until and unless you not fulfill the requirement of your institution, of your guide, you will not award the degree. That's why before starting of the research, you have to think in that way, whether uh, I am uh, whether I am ready to spend next 3 year, 4 year, 5 year, 6 year of my life for doing the research. Next is, am I motivated enough to last for such long research? Because people spend 6 years, 7 years for doing their PhD work, and for doing the PhD work, the researchers should be motivated enough. If you not be motivated enough, you will not, you cannot spend that much of time in an institution, because you will be really, you will be dull. Your mind will not efficiently work while doing the your research work. So before going into the research, you should think about particular this point, whether I am motivated enough to spend such long time for my research. Motivation is very important. Until and unless you not have that kind of motivation, yeah, a passion to do research, you cannot complete the research within the certain duration of the time. That is also very vital. Next is my family and friends. Do I have their support? What happens, generally we start the PhD at the later age, like 25, 26, at that age. In that case, our family members, they need our support. If your family need your support during that time, if you are doing research, then you will be getting not that much amount of money from the institution, a fixed amount of scholarship people used to get. Now the main thing is that whether that will be sufficient for you to support your family member. That is also very vital. And whether your family member or friends or relatives, whether they will support you to carry out your research for the such for the long time of this 4 year 5 years, that also you have to think while doing the research. The last point is the financial support that already I discussed, because financial support is very important, because everyone they needs the financial support for doing for carry out any a work, a research work. It is not like a bachelor degree. Generally people they do their bachelor degree age of 18, 19, 20, 21, like that. But the research degree generally we do at the uh, age of 25, 26. During that time, we generally need the financial support, whether the money or the scholarship which I'll get from the institution or from the government, that will be well sufficient for me or not. That also you'll have to think. Previously, that scholarship was less. Now it has been increased to, I think it is more than 30,000 right now. But previously it was 18,000, which was not sufficient for the research scholar. So these are the 4 points every researcher should think before starting of their research work. Now, now we'll discuss about the relationship between a supervisor and the student or research scholar, and that relationship should be very cordial. Otherwise, the research scholar will have to face a severe problem while carry out his research work. Generally, these are the point I have to note down. I have noted down here. Generally, this a student he act as a junior colleague in research to his supervisor. Sometimes we generally do not tell this PhD student as a student. We generally call it a research scholar. Sometimes what happens, a lot of people they come to do PhD at a later age, like more than 30, 31. If you go to any premier institute, you will find a lot of student whose age will be more or less similar to his guide's age. That's why sometimes this this research scholar they consider to be a junior colleague a junior colleague to his supervisor while carry out their research, and his supervisor should behave as a senior colleague. Like whenever he need any kind of help, he will have to consult with his senior colleague for finding for taking help in any matter. Uh, the relationship between student and the supervisor is unequal and hierarchical. It is definite thing, because the relationship always the supervisor he will be superior to the research scholar, and whenever he needs any kind of help, he should support to his research scholar, and both should be benefited in both benefits in different ways. Whatever research the research scholar will be doing, both guide and student they will be benefited, because guide will be benefited in term of his promotion and all. Whenever someone wants to apply for his promotion in any institution, they require this kind of publication, the proceeding, conference proceeding, the project proposal. And for the PhD scholar, for getting the degree publication is very important. That's why both will be benefited in different way. Now, both professional in the same discipline, with one being mentored by others. Definitely, uh, research scholar should be always mentored by his supervisor. Supervisor, he will be always there to help, to mentor his research scholar during his degree, research degree, PhD degree. Then in some cases, this supervisor they plays as a boss. We also tell that a teacher, advisor, father, uh, friends, and sometimes what happens, this if one supervisor he is acting all these things, sometimes this create a problem. But still, the supervisor must play a crucial role uh, for his research scholar while doing his research work in any institution. Now we'll see regarding the conflict between student and supervisor. Though these are a uncommon thing, but this thing happens. That is the truth. The conflict happens between the student and the research scholar in any institution. So the research scholar must be very much careful while dealing with his supervisor. If you will not be able to make a cordial relationship with his supervisor in his your research period, in his PhD degree, in that case, uh, it will be very tough for him to complete his degree within the certain amount of time which has been allocated to him. Because in any institution, if you go, generally for the 5 years people get the scholarship and the student get the scholarships. After 5 years, if your research work has not been completed, in that case you're not getting any financial support from the institution or from the government. In that case, the student will have to face a severe problem, because at the age of 30, at the age of 32, if you not get the money from the institution, it will be a severe problem for them. That's why always it is advisable to maintain a cordial relationship with their guide or any research scholar. I'm telling you one of my not my experience, one of my friends experience. Once I had gone to IIT Bombay for the PhD interview. During that time, I met with one guy. Uh, like he had also come for the interview. So when I asked to him at the starting, I asked, "So where you're working?" He told that I am working in an organization. I just want to leave that organization and I want to join a full-time PhD scholar in IIT Bombay. Then he gave the interview. Then at the end, when he was going back to his place, he told me from his side that I am working so I am working as a research scholar in the other institution where I have already served 3 years. But now I am not able to make yeah, I am not able to make a cordial relationship with my guide. My guide is not satisfied with me, so I want to leave that institute and I want to join in IIT Bombay. So these are the things. 3 year already he has served, and and in that 3 year he has not able to make a cordial relationship with his guide. That's why he's facing a severe problem. He was facing a severe problem. So he wants to leave that institute and he wants to join the other institute. So these kind of things generally happens uh, for any kind of research scholar in any organization. So always the research scholar has to be careful while dealing with his supervisor or mentor. Now, here I have noted down related to the role of supervisor and the role of student. Actually, 6 point I have made out here. The role of supervisor. The role of supervisor would be to assist the student in identifying a suitable research topic and setting up a program of study. While dealing with while dealing with the research topic, the supervisor has to help to his research scholar for identifying for finding the research problem. What will be the research topic? That is very vital, because choosing the topic is very vital for any research scholar. That's why before the confirmation of the topic, there should be a discussion between the supervisor and the research scholar, and then only they should fix the topic, and this will be the topic, and with that topic I should continue my PhD work. Next is monitor the student at the progress, monitor the student progress time to time, because for any institution this progress seminar happens in each 6 months for the full-time research scholar. So uh, in within that 6 months, what the research scholar has progressed, the, the supervisor has to check. What happens in lot of cases, the supervisor do not care about the work, do not care about the progress of the students. Due to that reason, the research they do not complete that their work within the stipulated time duration. Generally, the delaying in the PhD degree, uh, generally that thing happens due to this reason. The if the research scholar is not monitoring his student uh, within the equal interval of time, so this student he cannot progress properly. Next is guide student on what to do and explain the reason behind it. Means there should be a proper duration by which the guide should meet uh, with his research scholar, or the research scholars will go to his guide for the meeting. Means suppose in each week at least once the supervisor has to meet with his research scholar, and he has to take the feedback, what are the things he has done in that week, and what are the things he will do in the next week. In that way only, uh, uh, if the supervisor will deal with his research scholar in that way, then the progress will happens properly. Next is to assist the student in the interpretation of research finding or research output. uh, while doing the experimental analysis or mathematical analysis, always the supervisor has to has to help his research scholar for finding the result. Then also the interpretation of result, why that result is coming. While in the writing of any research article, that is very vital. If you are getting a result, that is called as the data you are getting. You are presenting the data, but you have to give a certain reason why you are getting the data. And in that way, generally the research scholar, they face problem, and particularly to solve that kind of problem, the supervisor should help to his research scholar. Now next is consult and advise when student have a personal problem. Generally during that PhD, your PhD tenure, the research scholar, they face some kind of personal problem. And as I have already mentioned, this supervisor, they act as a father, they act as a friend. He should involve in his personal problem and try to support that particular student if he is facing any kind of problem during that tenure. Next is the role of student. These are the 6 rule of student I have noted down here. Research topic must be choose with the help of supervisor. That is correct. Until and unless you not consult with his guide for choosing the uh, topic, you will have to face the problem. Because if you choose the topic uh, with without consulting with your guide, then later on if you face any kind of problem, the guide will not be able to help you. That's why before choosing any kind of topic, you should consult with your guide. Next is to work systematically and within agreed deadline. Always the student or the research scholar has to work on the basis of the deadline. If the supervisor has given him a particular time duration, that I want that work within that time duration of the within that particular time duration, he must complete that work with that stipulated time duration. Then to be well prepared for a meeting with the supervisor. It is not like that there will be a casual meeting with the supervisor. If meeting with the supervisor once in a week, you must be prepared. You must be prepared in terms of your progress and in terms of your future work. Means what I have done in the past 7 days and what I'll do in the next 7 days. That thing you must be clear, and by stating that thing in the mind, you should go to the supervisor. Then to give serious attention to the advice and the direction of the supervisor. If the supervisor is giving you any kind of suggestion, any kind of idea, any kind of you know uh, new finding, interpretation, you should note down that thing by using a copy or by using any electronic things. And you have keep all kind of record what your supervisor is telling on the date basis, on which date what discussion happened. All these things you should write by using a, you can use a copy, or you can use any electronic store item by which you can write all these things. Next is to realize that supervisor has uh, duties and the commitments. This thing also the student has to think that other than this work to guiding that particular student, the supervisor has some other assignment. And on the basis of that, the supervisor not the student should not always uh, disturb to his yes, supervisor. Within a week, yeah, so once a week or twice a week he should meet, and rest of the time he has to do his own work. Because if you see, in any for any PhD scholar, whatever topic he will choose, the work he has to do only the work of the supervisor is he will guide him. He will just tell him which one is the uh, which one is the perfect direction to move for that particular student. It is not like that the supervisor will have to do the work. Work is for the PhD scholar. After the end of your PhD degree, that particular student will be the master of that particular topic, even though he will have more sufficient knowledge as compared to his supervisor on that particular topic. Next is uh, managing a good student supervisor relationship. How the supervisor and how the student he will make a cordial relationship with his supervisor. Begin with by laying all the milestone in your program. Definitely, before starting of your research work, you should make a time frame, and you should you should find your research problem. These are the problem, your objective, and this objective I'll achieve within that time duration, particular time duration. That is very important. Until and unless you not make a time frame, you'll not able to complete that work at the proper time. Next is attach date and expectation for both. Whatever meeting and all that you are doing with your supervisor, everything you have to keep record. Next, revise as needed, but do so together. If your supervisor has given, has suggested you for any kind of revision, in that case, you have to incorporate that. And while incorporating that, after incorporation, you should show that particular writing, a particular things to your supervisor. These are the things you had suggested me, and I have already incorporated that in my research article, in my writing of the thesis. In the writing of any proposal, that you have to show to his or her supervisor. Then keep track of all discussion and decision. That is very vital. Always for any research scholar, always try to make a small note, small diary, a small copy, by which everything should mention in that copy. What are the discussion happens with the supervisor, what are the suggestion he has given to you. All these things you should maintain in that. They written all the emails and note. What happens due to this kind of reason, the conflict, generally the conflict come. Supervisor, if he has suggested something through the mail and you are not aware of that mail of your supervisor, in that case, generally conflict happen between student and the supervisor. So whatever mail, whatever suggestion he is giving, you should keep all the record, mail, your notes, all the thing you should keep in the record, by which you can make a good relationship with your supervisor. Then send and save email summaries to the supervisor. Now, what are the stresses on the student? Why the PhD scholar generally they get stressed? What are the reason? I have noted down some point out here. Too many direction at once. What happens if you will not, uh, if you will, work on a path of number of direction? In that case, the particular student will be stressed. So always before starting the work, first you have to set yeah, first you have to set the objective. First you have to find out the research problem, then on the basis of the research problem you have to set the objective, and you have to go, yeah, you have to achieve the objective one by one. You cannot start all the work at a time. So try to move in a single direction. Don't try to move in all the direction, you'll be confused. Then supervisor, generally what happens, if you do not if you have a, you know if you are having a very different kind of supervisor, you are not cooperative supervisor, you can say. In that case also, the student they get stressed, and the research scholar they also get stressed. The guidelines keep changing. If the supervisor is telling these are the things I want in this week, again he's deviating from that to other part, like I want other things in the next week. If he will be changing his guideline, in that case also the stress, generally the student feels stress. And also being unappreciated, that is also very important. If some research scholar is doing a good work, the supervisor should appreciate him, because everyone need appreciation. If you are doing a good work, definitely uh, the person who is doing that work, he will have some expectation that my boss, my supervisor, should appreciate me. These are the things motivate that particular person to carry out their research work. Then the deadline, if one deadline is given to the given to the research scholar, that you have to submit the article, you have to write the article on that particular, before that particular time duration. These are the things by which the student they get state. What happens in a lot of institution, the research scholar, for the before progress seminar, they generally get stressed, because progress seminar he'll have to show something, some kind of result, yeah, some kind of work what he has done the past 6 months. If the results, yeah, the work is not sufficient, then generally what happens, the research scholar he gets stressed. Then poor direction. Generally, if you are not finding your solution, if you are not able to, set your objective, achieve your objective, in that case also the research scholar they also face problem. Then finding something novel, because research is such a thing that you cannot repeat the work already done by other researchers. Always you have to do some new work, some novelty should be there, novelty should be there in your work. That's why that is also a reason that, yeah, this is the thing I am working. And if you are finding any articles where this thing has been already discussed, and due to that reason the research scholar also gets stressed. Then feeling not getting anywhere, if you are not finding the solution of a particular problem, in that case also they face problem. Then insecurity, fear of failure. Insecurity means insecurity in term of success, in term of your work, in term of your financial assistance. Because a lot of research scholar, they generally get stressed for their job, because a lot of people they are doing research in different institution, but after completion of that, uh, getting a job is very vital. Then in the market you will find a lot of research scholar they are not able to get a job after completion of their PhD degree also. So these are the things that always strike in the mind of the particular research scholar, and due to that they get stressed. And failure, fear of failure. Fear of failure means if you are doing experimental work and you do not know what result you will get, but you are doing the experiment. By doing the experiment for 1 month, after that if your result is not good, definitely you will be, in depression. Because for 6 months, for 1 month continuously you are doing the experiment, but the result is not up to the mark, means that 6 months, it what you spent, it went valueless. That's why the people get stressed. So proper planning is required before starting of your work. By doing the literature survey, the research scholar must plan properly, by which he can uh, he can relieve that kind of, stress by considering all this point. Now, the type of supervisor. Generally, if you see, if you compare your supervisor with other research class supervisor, you'll find different attitude, a different kind of supervisor in different institution. Like here, I have pointed some of the name, like Professor Never there. You'll find a lot of supervisor. Whenever you will be in the need, they will not be available. If you're trying to contact to that particular supervisor, a particular person, you're not able to contact him. That's why we have named as professor never there. Means whenever you will be in need, you will not find to them. And professor, no new ideas since 1995. Like this name we have given that some of the that professors, yeah, supervisor, they do not they do not take research so seriously. They take the research scholar, that is fine, but they do not up to date with their research work. If they have completed their PhD, if someone has completed their PhD in 1990, after that, if he has not done any kind of, literature survey related to that particular area, definitely will not have new idea. So always it is a continuous process for any supervisor. After getting the degree, after getting a good job also, you will have to be up to date with the research community. What are the progress is going on in the society, in the scientific community on that particular topic. Then professor changes direction. There are a lot of supervisors are there. They will give you one assignment in week one, and after 2 3 weeks they will change their direction. No, no, these are the things we'll not do. Just change the plan. We'll do the other thing. In that case, the student, they get demotivated. They also face the problem. Then the professional loan worker. Some professors are there. They always, they always try to uh, work alone. So they can work alone, but you'll have to, right now in the market, if you see, interdisciplinary research is going on, and that is quite fruitful. If you will try to do the research alone, in that case you will not be that much of successful as compared to the person who is doing the literature, who is doing the research as the collaboration with some other faculty in your area or in some different area. In that case they will be more successful. Then professor never professor never satisfied. Some professors are there, the research scholar will be doing a lot of works, even though they will not be satisfied. There will be always, it always act as a demotivation for the research scholar. Professor test till you break. Some professors are there, they always try to test their students for the research scholar. Until and unless you not break, they keep trying, testing to their research scholar, uh, uh, whether he is sufficient enough to carry out the research work or not, whether he is capable of doing that particular work or not. They always try to testing their research scholar. Then professor happy to be mediocre. Some professors are there, they will not be up to date with their work, with the research work. They always try to be in mediocre. In that case, if any student having higher ambition, he face problem, because that mentality does not match. Student has a high ambition, but supervisor is having a mediocre ambition. In that case, some problem happens. Then professor different planet. Some professors are there, they always indulge in other kind of work that do not give much more focus to the research. If you are getting that kind of supervisor for your PhD degree, in that case also you will have to face a problem. Then the last one is professor perfect supervisor, means if he is a he is having a very very good knowledge in the particular area, and he is very efficient. If he is is helping in nature, that kind of supervisor generally we consider as a perfect supervisor. No one is perfect in the world, that is fine, but still if we compare with other kind, the last one, the perfect supervisor, if he's dealing with his students or research scholar properly, we can give the name as the professor perfect supervisor. Now the next thing is, what are your personal reason for publishing? Why people, as the research scholar, go for the publication? The first thing is the PhD degree. If you are doing a PhD degree, and for any organization, research organization, or any academic organization, they have their own criteria. Nowadays, if you see to the IITs or NITs, they have made their own criteria that we need to at least to Q1 journal. Previously, it was not there. They were not specific. But right now, a lot of institute, they have made that until and unless you not publish two Q1 journal, you will not get the degree. Previously, what used to previously the institute, they have like if you are publishing a SCI index journal, a SCIE index journal, that is sufficient to get the degree. But right now, they have a lot of institutes, they have changed their criteria. So to achieve the PhD degree, people, they try to publish their research article. Next is get funding. That is very vital for any kind of for any researchers. Fund is very vital. If you are working in a project, and in the project if fund is not there, then uh, then on which basis you will get the grant? So uh, suppose you have got a project for 3 years, and within the 3 years you are not able to fulfill the criteria of that particular project, then it will not continue for the next 2 year, next 3 year. In that case, to get the funding, also people, they try to publish. And once the funding organization, they if they are seeing your publication, yeah, you are having a very good publication record, then definitely they will give you the sufficient fund. Next is promotion. Generally, what happens for the supervisor, yeah, for any kind of you know for any kind of your assistant professor or scientist, to get the promotion, they try to publish the paper. Because if you see the API score given by UGC, there a particular point has been given for the publication. If you are publishing a article and you are the first author of that, then definitely then you will get 2 points. And when you will apply for the promotion, you will, for the associate professor, a certain point is there. For an professor, certain point is there. Until unless you not fulfill that criteria, you cannot apply for that post. Selection is a different thing. For the applying for any post, you have to fulfill that thing. And by publishing the research article, you can acquire, you can get the point, and by which you can apply for your promotion. The next things are the we can also consider for the to have a to have a your very good if you want to get a respectable thing among your your research community, among the student of your lab mates, in that case also people try to publish. Because if you're publishing a good number of articles in each year, in that case people will praise you. Yeah, they will consider to be they will then definitely consider you as a good researchers. You will have a very good value in the market. On the basis of that, you will get different kind of award. Suppose someone is having a very good number of publication in each year, definitely the scientific community will praise that particular person. So there are other some factor by which people they try to they try to publish their article. Now what to publish? Suppose you are doing your work, that is fine. Now the next thing is that what are the things you should publish and what are the things you should not publish. To publish any work, the work must be a new kind of thing. You should not publish any uh, any kind of work which has been already done by some other people in the past. So always try to publish new and original kind of work. If there is no novelty in your work, you should not publish that work. That happens if you see a good researcher, that is a quality of a good researcher. They always, if even though they are getting a result, even though they have a lot of result, but if they are not satisfied with the result, they will not publish that particular work. So always, that's why before starting of your research work, you have to set your objective. You have to find the research gap from the previous published articles. If you're finding the research gap, and on the basis of that research gap you are doing your research and you are doing your experiment or analysis, then only you will get the novelty in your work. And also the reviews or summaries of a particular subject on the field. Generally, other than the journal articles, people also publish the your review paper. That is also very vital. Review paper is basically, it is a kind of paper where you'll represent the work of other people who have already done the work related to that particular topic. By which what will happen, the particular author will get more citation. Because if someone is following 100 number of paper or 200 number of paper in a particular area, and he is trying to publish that number of paper by writing a if he is trying to publish a review article by considering that number of paper, in that case that will consider to be a review article. That is very vital. Next is, do not consider to publish. What are the things you should not consider to be published? Result with lack of scientific interest. If you are finding that there is no new things in your work, you should not publish that kind of work. So until and unless you not find any novelty in your work, you should not publish that one. Next is outdated work. If someone has done that work in 2 year 3 year 4 year back, and you are just repeating the same kind of work and you are trying to submit that article to the journal. You should not do that kind of thing. Do not accept. But what will happen, if someone will check your article and he will compare your article with other published article, then someone may see that this article is published in 2017 and similar kind of work has been done uh, by other authors in 2020. So always you should not be outdated and you should not publish any outdated work. So before thinking of doing any kind of work, you have to be up to date with the research community. Yeah, the topic which you have selected, you should know the publication related to that topic in that particular time. Now, duplication of work already published. If some work has been already published, you should not try to publish that kind of work. Means, I'm taking an example. Some people, what they do is, if they have published their own paper in some other journal, and if they are taking that kind of result and they're adding some other result and they're trying to publish in other journal, that is also not correct. You should not do that kind of thing. Always try to publish some new kind of work and new innovative work for the publication. Next is your this incorrect data or conclusion not supported by the data. Means, if you are having some incorrect data, you know that the result which you have got, that is not sufficient, that is not correct, and you are still trying to publish that that data which you have got, that is also unethical and that is not correct. So before writing the article, you have to have a very good thorough literature survey of your area, and you have to find out the research gap from your area. Then only you have to set your objective and all, then you can able to write a good article having a novelty. So you need a strong manuscript to present your contribution to the scientific community. Definitely, if you are just publishing a you know a typical kind of thing which already has been published by some other researcher, that will not be acceptable by the scientific community, and in that case you not get that credit. So before publishing any work, you have to think in all this way. Now, these are the trend in publishing. Previously, if you see before 1997, maximum paper were, they used to come in printing version. But right now, the trend has been changed. Maximum paper it is coming in electronic. Yes, maximum is a maximum publications are uh, electronically coming. Means uh, there is no hard copy. If you want to find something, some kind of journal, just go to the internet, search engine, type that particular paper's name, or by searching the by using the keyword you can search. That's why the trend has been changed. Previously, up to 2019, it was the statistics I have presented here. 55% were electronic journal. Now in 2012, the statistics up to 2012 has been given out here. Up to 98% of the work were your this electronic type. Now almost all the journal they are electronic type. Means they have some kind of a DOI and all. By using that unique ID number, that DOI number, you can search from the internet and you will find all the research paper. Now changing the role of journal to the ESS. At the previously what happens, there were a lot of restriction to finding the journal, but right now if you want to search the journal, a lot of sites are there. For example, the best thing is that if you want to uh, search any kind of paper in a particular area, you can go through the research gate, you can go to the academia.edu. From there also you can request to the particular author and you will get the uh, particular manuscript from there. No, and some papers are there, those who are having open access, where the author has already paid the fee, and for that no need to pay any subscription fee. That is in the Google only. If you search the open access journal, you will that is easily available there. you can easily download that one. Now choose the right journal, because doing the research work, that is good. If you are getting a good result, that is fine. The next important thing is that publishing your work in an appropriate journal, because you cannot you cannot get your degree. You're not able to get your degree until unless you not publish your work. And you should publish your work, because if you will not publish the work, what will happen? If some other people, if you will be working in that particular area, he will be get benefited. If you are doing the work in 2019 and you are not publishing that work, and same kind of work if someone is doing in 2020 and he is publishing the work, he will get the credit. That's why once you are completing your work, you are getting a good result. Try to publish that result by uh, by sending that result, yeah, by sending that article to a particular journal. So this is the procedure. First, you have to choose a top journal of your particular area, and that before finding the journal, first you have to find out the publisher, whether you want to publish in Elsevier, whether you want to publish in Springer, Nature, and some society journals are there like American, Chemical Society, American Society of Mechanical Engineering, where you want to publish that particular article. Means the publisher you have to find out. Then a field specific to the top journal. In Elsevier you will find a n number of journals, and you have to find out your the journal which are fitted to your area, that you have to find out. Now uh, in that case, it depends on your quality of your work. If it is a very good quality of work you have done, then you should try to publish that work in a very good index journal whose impact factor is very high. And on the basis of your work, you can publish in lower impact factor paper, lower impact factor journal, or you can publish that journal, that work in the Scopus Index journal also. And at the end also you can publish in conference proceeding. But you should not publish your work in the journal which is not indexed, which is not uh, acceptable by the scientific community. If you check your email, in each day you will be getting a lot of emails from different kind of journal having impact factor. They will have written that impact factor is 5, impact factor is 6. These are not the correct one. So before going for the publication, first you have to think about the publisher, then you have to go for the uh, your journal of your a particular area. So these are the very widely accepted publisher like Nature, Elsevier, Springer, Taylor and Francis. Some society journals are there. Then from their journal you can find out some good journal of your particular field. Now we'll go to the process of writing an article. How we'll write a particular article. Uh, Here I'll not go in details, just I'll give the brief idea, and there will be a separate lecture for writing of the research article, writing of the review article, where just I'll give some brief idea. Actually, it has 5 different stages. One is pre-writing stage, drafting stage, revision stage, editing stage, and publication stage. These are the 5 stages. Every researcher, they must follow this stage for writing any research article. I'm going in details. The first one is your pre-write stage. Here you'll have to collect all kind of result, and you have to do a brainstorming session with your supervisor. How you will represent your result in a particular articles, and what will be the novelty of the work which you have done. All these things you have to note it down in separately. That is basically called as the pre-writing stage. Means just you are collecting all the information, and by considering all the information you will have to write the articles. Then next is draft and revise stage. These are the it's a kind of cyclist stage, cyclic in nature. You have to, by considering all this result and all, you have to you have to make a draft of your article. Then that of the article, after making the draft, you have to revise that one, whether the draft I have made that is correct, or that is some revision is required. So once you have completed the revision, again you have to make a draft, then again you have to check that thing. That's why it's a psychic process. The feedback should be there in the revised process. After the drafting process, in the revised process, you have to need some kind of feedback. Then again you have to go for the rewriting for making the new draft. Now after that, the editing stage. There you'll have to check the spelling, the grammatical mistake and all, and you have to you can use a lot of software there, like Grammarly software, where you can, if someone English is not that good, in that case they can check that particular manuscript by using that software. Because if you send the article to any good journal, they check the English thoroughly. That's why before sending the article to any journal, you have to be very much careful for editing part, because editing is also very vital. Then next is the your publish, the final stage. There generally what happens, the format of the writing means, suppose you want to send the article to Elsevier journal, they have their own criteria, they have their own format. If you want to send to a stranger journal, they have their own kind of format. So you have to put your result, you have to put the particular manuscript in their own format where you want to send. Now, structure of the articles, I'll not go in details, just I'll give some brief idea to the structure of articles. Generally, for each articles, there is three basic steps, and it has been represented through this fees. One is the head of the fees, and the other one is this body, and the last one is the tail part. All these parts are very vital for doing, for carry out any research work. If you are doing the research work, this the starting thing you have to make, that is your title. Before writing the articles, you have to think about the title, and the title should not be matched with other published paper. If you are giving a same title which has been already published in any kind of journal, that will not be acceptable. And on the basis of the title, uh, you know title you can consider to be uh, very vital, because whenever you send the manuscript to any journal, first thing the editor, you will see the title of that particular manuscript. Then it is the abstract. Abstract is basically called as the summary of your work which you have done. Means in the abstract part, you'll have to write just one two line this introduction. Then you have to write out the work which you have done. Then you have to write the answer, yeah, the result which you have got. Then the keyword basically it is very vital. Why? On the basis of the keyword, people used to search in the internet about the work. See, I'm giving one example. If someone has done experimental kind of things, experimental works, in that case, if they have used a particular machines, that machine's name, if it is in the abstract, you should use that machine's name as a keyword. If you have used a particular process, you can use that process name as a keyword. Means that word that word should represent your work. If someone will search by putting that word in the internet, they will able to find out your work. Next is the body part. It is basically start with the introduction, then methods or experimentation, then result and discussion. In the body part, first you'll have to go for the introduction. Then in the introduction you have to give the preliminary idea about the work which you have done, and in that part you'll have to represent the work of other people on that particular area. Then you have to go for the methods. In the method parts, if it is experimental one, instead of method you can write experimentation. There you have to write the complete procedure which you have followed while doing the experiments, and while doing the your testing and all. Then if it is a mathematical one, then you have to write the mathematical procedure, that methods. Then the result and discussion. Result means whatever data you have got while doing the experiment, while doing the mathematical calculation, that you have to write. Then discussion, that is why you are getting that result. That is very vital. and you have to correlate your work as compared to the other published work in that particular area. That is very vital, because just writing a result, just stating the result of your particular work which you have done, that is not sufficient. Discussion is very important. Why what is the reason of getting that result? You have to give a particular reason of that result which you have got. Then it is the tail part, that is conclusion, acknowledgement, reference, and supplementary data. Conclusion is basically on the basis of this result discussion. There it will be in the this result discussion, it is quite uh, details form. It's a quite detailed form, but in conclusion, the summary of your result discussion you can write. It should be concise and it should be well understood by the scientific community. Then acknowledgement. If you have taken the help of some friends or some organization, if you are having some financial assistance from any organization, you have to mention that. That is, if you are not mentioning that thing, that is unethical. Someone may claim that I had helped him while carry out the research work, but he has not mention my name in the acknowledgement. If you are getting a fund from DST, and by using that fund you have carried out your experiment, but in the acknowledgement part you have not mentioned the name of the Department of Science or Technology. So you have to mention that I would like to thank the Department of Science and Technology for giving me the financial assistance to carry out the research work. Also, for the experimental work, all kind of equipment will not be available in a particular institution where you are working. So you have to take the help of other institution while carry out your experiment. So you have to write their institution's name, that I would like to thanks to that particular institute for providing me the facility for carry out my experiment. Now, this authorship policy, this is also very vital. It is like you cannot make the author of an article if he has not scientifically you can consider the you can scientifically, if he has not contributed to your research work. If someone has helped, suppose you are doing an experiment, and while doing the experiment, he was present there, and he has suppose helped you to carry out the experiment, that is fine. But scientifically, if he is not helped you, you should not give that particular person as an authorship in your paper. So the other point I made out here: substantially contribute to conception and design or acquisition of data, or analysis and interpretation of data. If scientifically, a creative in the creative way, if he has helped you to complete your research work, in that case only you will have to put his name as a co-author of your paper. Then draft the article or revise it critically for important intellectual content. If someone has helped you for writing the article, someone has helped you for giving the reason. Suppose you observe one result, and you confuse what is the reason to getting that particular result. In that case, suppose you are taking the help of some people or expert of that particular area, and if he is helping you to writing to giving the particular reason of that problem, of that result which you have got, in that case you can put his name as a co-author of the paper. Give their approval of the final full version to be published. The person who will be the co-author of your paper, before publishing, before sending the article, you have to take their consent. And before publishing the article, generally for the proofreading, the journal they send to the authors, during that time you should go through that, and you should you know you should give that information to all the authors of that particular paper. Now here I pointed out the significance of the author, this corresponding author and the co-author at the same time, or the significance of acknowledgement part. Corresponding author for any kind of paper, generally the first author or the supervisor, they make the corresponding author. Or you can consider generally during the PhD what happens, the supervisor they try to be the corresponding author of that particular article. Then the work of the corresponding author is to contact the particular publisher and all, where you want to send the article, and you have to find that particular journal names, and whether your work is suitable to publish in that particular journal, that also the corresponding author has to check. And the corresponding author must ensure that all appropriate co-author and no inappropriate co-author are included on the paper. That already I discussed. If someone has helped you scientifically, and if he has helped to, scientifically, in term of if any creative things, anything he has added by which your weightage of paper increase, in that case only you can give that author's name as a co-author. If someone has helped not creatively, in that case you should not give their name as a co-author. Then at the last, ensure that all co-authors have agreed to the manuscript and the publication. Before sending that manuscript to any publishers, the corresponding author should take the consent of individual co-author of that particular papers. Until and unless they will not give their approval that the paper you should send to that particular journal, you should not, send that journal to that particular, you should not send that article to that particular journal. Because what happens, if you send the articles to a good publisher, they always send the they always ask the consent of all the co-authors. So they, once you are sending to that particular journal, they just they automatic mail generally all the co-author they get. In that case, one point mention that whether you are aware of this submission of that article, yes or no. If you are yes, you can click out here. If you are not agreed, you can click on the no part. So the corresponding author, he has a significant role while communicating the paper to a good journal. This co-author means generally the author who has helped you, scientifically while writing or while carry out your experiment. So all those who have made a significant contribution to the conception, design, execution, or interpretation of the reported study. Now the acknowledgement part, already I've discussed. In the acknowledgement part, if you have taken the help of somebody else, but but they have not helped you creative, that scientifically, you can say, you have to put their name in the acknowledgement part. Also, if you have got any kind of financial assistance from any organization, you should mention their name in the acknowledgement part. And if you are doing an experimental kind of work, and while carry out the experiment, if you have taken the help of some other organization, you have to put their name also in the acknowledgement part. Now, this important notes for the authorship. All author need to approve the final version and agree to the submission of the publication. All co-author signs to take responsibility and credit of the entire manuscript. Then this change to authorship after submission are strongly discouraged. What happens? So sometimes some people, some corresponding author, they try to, change the authorships. Suppose someone is in the first author, second author, third author. If someone wants to change this sequence after the submission, this completely, it is really unacceptable. So you should not do that kind of thing. The next 2 point, one is a ghost authorship, other one is a gift authorship. Ghost authorship is basically if someone has contributed significantly scientifically and you are not putting his name, that kind of things is called as your ghost authorship. Means you, that that candidate, yeah, that researchers uh, have a significant contribution in your article, but you are not including his name while writing the manuscript. That is also not acceptable. The other one is your gift authorship. Gift authorship means if someone has not helped you, but the thing is that he is a good friend of yours, and you are putting his name. That is also not acceptable. These are the things you have to keep in your mind while giving the authorship of any particular article. Now these are the publisher you will have to uh, you know before sending the articles, they are the publisher you can think of for sending the manuscript. All the publisher has different kind of journal, but first thing is the publisher. Generally, this Elsevier and Springer. If you see the total number of journal, I think around uh, 50-60% paper, 50% paper you will get from this Elsevier and Springer. Your Springer publisher. Then these are the Wiley, Cambridge, Taylor and Francis. Then other than that, some society journals are there. This APS, American Physical Society, AIP, American Institute of Physics, IOP, Institute of Physics, IOP, it is Institute of Physics, American Chemical Society, American Society of Mechanical Engineering. These are the different society journal. They have a very good prestige. Like if you are publishing in this kind of journal, they have different kind of impact. So you can consider this publisher for your research article. Always try to avoid the blacklisted or lesser known journal. That's why I was telling, if you're getting a mail that try to publish your article in this kind of journal, in the top it will be written like Impact Factor 5. These all are bogus. So don't try to publish in that kind of journal. Before publishing, first thing is that you have to think about the publisher, then you have to think about the journal. Now the peer review process, uh, basically what happens for any researcher. If you are doing the research for the first time and you are communicating a research article to any kind of journal, very less probability is that it will get accepted for the first time. You can consider the probability is 1% at 2%. Generally some modification come. You have more, the maximum chances is there. If you're sending to a good journal, good impact factor journal of a good publisher, in that case probability is there it will be rejected for the first time, I'm telling. So don't demotivate it. If it is accepted, that's okay, fine. It is really a it is really a very, what I can say is achievement for that particular researchers. If you are sending an article to a good journal for a good publisher, I can say having a good impact factor, and for the first time it is the, the editor is accepting your article without having any revision. In that case, it is you can say that you are very lucky in that case. But generally, it does not happen. If it is rejected, generally it happens 40 to 90% time for a particular, for a good journal. Do not lose your hope. It happens for everybody. And try to understand why that particular editor or particular journal they rejected your article, and you have to find out the reason. Generally what happens, if you are sending a particular article to a journal, what happens, if the editor rejected, if the editor reject that one, that means he gives some 2 3 comments, and they generally the editor reject. But if the editor is finding that yeah, some kind of novelty is there, I can send that article to the reviewer. Then the reviewer is going through a manuscript and he is giving a comments, and at the end, if suppose he is rejecting your articles, now don't be lose hope. Just consider their comment as a kind of you know uh, uh, note to change your manuscript, and try to submit that particular manuscript, changing manuscript, to some other journal. So that's why whenever you are getting any kind of comment from the reviewer, don't lose hope. Just consider their comment, uh, and try to revise your manuscript on the basis of their comment and send to some other kind of journal. Then next is the most important issue, that is ethics issue in publishing. Generally, nowadays it is a very serious issue for the researchers, because until and unless you're not aware of some points related to the ethics of publishing, you might face some kind of problem while communicating your article, yeah, while you're sending the article, while publishing the article in any kind of journal. Ethics is basically, it is a discipline study or a morality and morality asks the question, what should one's behavior be? Basically, uh, in ethics, what we learn is what would be the behavior of that particular person while doing the research and while writing their result, or while representing their result, and while communicating their work to the publisher. And this ethics part, actually separate lecture, there will be separate session of this research ethics. Here just I'll give the brief idea about the research ethics. Just I will briefly cover this topic. In details we'll discuss in the other lecture. These are the some scientific misconduct. Generally it happens, this fabrication, falsification, cooking, trimming. Falsification is basically, it is called as the if it is the description of the experiment not actually performed, but the invention of data not actually collected, and the reporting of this experiment and the result. Means if someone is not doing any experiment and he is just generating the data by himself only, so that is not acceptable. That is called falsification. Sorry, fabrication. Likewise, falsification means if you are just manipulating the data, then cooking is basically, it is just retaining and reporting only the data which is fit to your theory or fit to your result. Then trimming is basically it is the smoothing and irregularities to make the data look more accurate and precise than the really are. These things will definitely will discuss in the other class, but you should aware of this kind of what if you are doing these things, falsification or fabrication or cooking or trimming, it is not acceptable. This plagiarism, it is a very serious issue right now. If you see a lot of institute, premier institute in India, they have faced this plagiarism issue. That's why plagiarism basically, if you are taking if you are following some other published paper and uh, you are not giving their reference while writing a journal, that is considered to be a plagiarism. Or you can consider that, suppose you are copying one yeah, two line from other paper, you are not changing the line. You can give the reference by just copying two lines from a paper, and by giving the reference it will not be sufficient, it will not be acceptable. You have to change the sentence. The meaning you can keep same, but the sentence must be different. Otherwise it will be considered to be a plagiarism. That's why there are a lot of softwares available, like Turnitin, Authenticate, and Open. And by using this software you can check your manuscript, and they will tell you from uh, which source you have copied that writing part or the result part. So before sending your manuscript to any journal, you should check the manuscript by using this software, and you try to change all this manuscript. Yeah, you should there should be that your this plagiarism. Generally what happens, if the plagiarism is more than 20%, generally it is not advisable. So always try to uh, give the plagiarism less than 20%. In some paper journals are there, they want plagiarism less than 5% also. So try to reduce the manuscript, try to reduce the plagiarism as much as possible. And you should not communicate any manuscript whose plagiarism is more than 20%. Now this publication misconduct, these are the things we'll discuss this thing in the other class, the research ethics class. These are the some serious issue which some of the very important person, they have also they have faced the problem related to the terrorism. This Hungarian president, uh, he he had also faced the plagiarism scandal. That's why it was that article, like that news, it was come in the newspaper. It was during that time, it was a hot news that Hungarian president, he resigned, uh, and due to this doctorate plagiarism scandal. He's a German minister, loses doctorate after plagiarism role. That's why you must be very much careful. Here I have pointed out some, two, three example. But if you see in India, a lot of premier institute, they have, they have faced this plagiarism issue. ISC Bangalore, IIT Kanpur, they have faced the ISM Dhanbad, ITBHU. A lot of professor, yeah, a number of professors from that particular institute, they have faced this plagiarism issue. It is a embarrassment for that particular person who is, you know, uh, who is facing this kind of, you know, problem related to the plagiarism issue. That we'll discuss in details in the other class. He is the, former vice chancellor of Delhi University. He had also faced this plagiarism issue. He's a very famous person. He has a more than 60 good number of research paper, and he has received many awards from different country. But I think during the time of during 2009 or 10, I think he faced these charges. Uh, Now this is the final slide. What leads to the acceptance? Actually, by this John Cook, he has noted down some point. While carry out the research work, you have to be careful of this point. One is attend to the details. Whatever details study you are doing, whatever details analysis you are doing, you must give attention to that. Then check and double check your work. If you are doing a work, you have to, while collecting the reading, I'm just giving one a basic example related to the experimental work. What happens, some people, they try to conduct a single experiment and they collect the data. That is not advisable. Always try to conduct 2 3 time experiment by considering the same parameter. Then you should, take the average value of that. That will be always advisable. Then consider the reviewers comment. If some reviewers have given you the comment, in that case, you should take that comment seriously and try to incorporate that comment in your research article, and you will send that paper to that journal or to some other journal. And English must be as good as possible, because throughout the world English is the only language, uh, maximum percentage of the people they speak, and that is you can consider to be an official language. So while writing your manuscript, English, you have to check your English thoroughly, and you can use any kind of software to checking your English. Then presentation is important. Main thing is that getting a result is not important. That is important, that is fine, but presenting is also, it is more important. You'll find a lot of paper where the work they have done is not that good, but their presentation is very good and it is published in a good journal. So, presenting, generally what happens, those who are doing research for the first time, uh, they generally face some issue related to the presentation. Even though they have a good result, they they do not able to publish that particular work in a good journal. So you must take the help of your guide while writing the manuscript, and the presentation. The guide must check the writing of his or her research scholar. Then take your time with revision. If your guide has given you some suggestion for the revision, take a proper time and try to incorporate all the point which has been given by your supervisor. And acknowledge those who have helped you. Definitely in the acknowledgement part, if someone has helped you, you should uh, put their name. You should mention their name in your manuscript, that in any way if they have helped you, you should mention their name. New, original and previously unpublished work, uh, always try to publish the original work or new work. Don't try to publish the outdated kind of work. And critically evaluated your manuscript. uh, while you are writing the manuscript, you try to review your manuscript. You should do the proofreading. Suppose you have completed the writing of the manuscript, take the hard copy of your manuscript, try to read line by line, then you send to the journal. Then ethical rule must be obeyed. You should be careful about all these ethics rules which we discuss here and which we'll be discussing in the next class. You should careful about that. And this acceptance, this John Pope, by considering all these first word, A, C, likewise he has written this acceptance. And by considering all these points, you can able to be a good researcher, and you can able to publish your article in a good journal. Okay, and this is a falsification example. It is given actually. This article, due to this, that falsification, that your false data analyzation, what happens, this article has been retracted. A retraction means it will be shown in the website. Yeah, in the internet you will find that article, but in nearby to that it will be written as it is retracted. Likewise, this article has been retracted by the publisher. So it is the same. It is a, embarrassment for that particular researchers. Those will be the researchers in that particular, manuscript. It is the same for them if it is this kind of thing has been written over there. So you should not do any kind of unethical thing while doing your research. So at the conclusion part, I'll go that most important way to immerse yourself as a rising star is completing your PhD successfully, or any kind of MSc, MTech PhD successfully, to make people believe in you or research or potential your future career. PhD as a passport, but full life is to learn and publish. Generally, we say that PhD is the degree. Yeah, it is the ultimate degree by which you will get the license to do the research, and it takes a lot of time. That's why people, they used to learn a lot of things while carry out their PhD work, and it is a very vital degree. So before, going for any before, it's a suggestion from my side to any researchers who are doing PhD, and who are interested for PhD. They should be very much careful before starting of their research work, and whatever things we have discussed in this particular class, they should think about that before, starting of their research work, by which they will be able to complete their work within the time duration, and they will be able to complete a good research work in their PhD journey. Okay, thank you everyone.